What do y'all think about this one? It's a little jazzy. It's a little jazzy. A little jazzy. Appreciate you, Azriel. Appreciate you. Yeah, man, we're going to get it off. We're going to get it started off right. We're going to get it started off right. Yes, sir. I don't know. What do you think about this one? It's a little jazzy, you know. It's hard to find some decent stuff these days. Morning to you too. That's real. We'll see if we can find some more. It's kind of a lost art. It's kind of a lost art. You know? We used to have a jazz station out here, but not so much anymore, you know? So I don't know how to find good ones. I found some weird stuff. I shouldn't say weird. It's like elevator type music, but it's not the stuff that you would just sit back and listen to. So we'll see. We'll see what we can find. Oh, it's good. Glad you're enjoying it. Glad you're enjoying it. Man. Woo! So, all right, y'all. GideonXL here with current episode of Forced Conversation. And I'm hanging lonely. I'm hanging by myself. I don't got my partner in crime with me. And we want to talk about that a little bit. We definitely want to talk about that a little bit today. Very curious, though, as to how you guys are doing, how things are going. Again, if this is your first time listening, we try to do this live. We want to talk. It's a conversation with the community. So we want to know what you think about the game and other topics. So again, if you're listening to it live, please feel free to chat and join in. If you're listening to it on a replay, throw those things in the comments because it's stuff that we're going to definitely talk about and listen to. BPG is in the house. Big positive geek. This guy's doing big things. My brother, you're doing big things. You're doing big things. You made Envoy. You're bringing a normal person approach to the game. Like that's what I like. So we got Big Positive Geek and Manguli. If you're not familiar with both those individuals, they made the Envoy program and they're regular people, man. You know what I'm saying? Not like the other Envoys aren't. It's just these cats play the game probably more closely to how regular people play the game. So it's really good to have individuals that have that mindset and can bring that part of the equation to Scopely. Super awesome. Super awesome. Glad that you guys are a part of it. How's it going? It goes, my man. It goes. It goes. I'm on a mini vacation, right? Like I'm not going anywhere. It's just you know how it is. You got a vacation day that you got to take. You got to take it. So I'm off. I'm off today just because not going anywhere, not doing anything. It just is what it is. Also, I want to talk about my guy. I want to talk about my brother, Gangster KT. If you haven't had an opportunity, let me see if I can find it here. If you haven't had an opportunity, I think it's important that you take a peek at the video. So this is KT's farewell video. Gangster's goodbye. The link is in the description. Very important. Very, very good. He stopped playing the game. So for those of you who don't know, he stopped playing the game. I don't know if he quit the game or he retired from the game, whatever phrase individuals want to use. I'm not sure if he's coming back or not, but he stopped playing the game. It's bittersweet for me, right? It's selfishly for me, it's bitter, but it's good that he went on ahead to make that decision. And I'm proud, KT, Gangster KT, if you're watching, I'm proud of you for making that decision. Proud of you for making that decision. Because real life is real. And we have to live it, right? Real life is real and we have to live it. This game is fun. I enjoy it. I like playing the game, but it is a hobby. It is a hobby. It is not our life. And so since life is short and you only have a window of opportunity to do the things you want to do in life, right? You have to work a certain amount. You got to do that. Maybe you enjoy your job, maybe you don't. Um, you got to sleep, you got to eat, right? That's all stuff that you have to do. And so since you have to do it, you got to get it done. That leaves, only a limited amount of time for stuff that you want to do. So if you want to pursue other things, if you want to enjoy life in other ways, it's okay to do that. It's okay to do that. And again, I encourage you to watch the video. He's not bitter. He's not angry. There's a lot of people that have bitterly left Marvel Strike Force. You don't have to do that. If you just want to go enjoy something else, right? Like I don't know what the brother's up to. He alludes to some things in the video. So please check it out. Right? The weather's getting nicer. The weather's getting warmer. So maybe you're into a little bit more outdoorsy stuff and you want to do a little bit something else besides play Strike Force, go do it. Right? If you want to get into fishing of some sort, you want to get into hiking, right? You want to get into some type of craft work, whether it's woodworking, metalwork, something like that, whatever it is, go do that. And if you find that you're enjoying that more, or you want to dig into that more, and you don't have as much time for something else like Marvel Strike Force, that's okay. That's okay. That's 100% okay to do. And I just want to encourage anyone who's not enjoying life, right? Because mental health is a thing. And some of it is stress that's brought on by ourselves because we're doing stuff we don't want to do, right? I used to play this game. We talk about it a lot. I used to play this game called Hero Clicks. So it's a lot like Marvel Strike Force, only it's a tabletop game. And I was playing with my buddies, and just the way they wanted to play, the way that how they played, I was not enjoying it. So I started to regret hanging out with my buddies, right? And that's not what you want. That's not what you want. You want that to be an enjoyable time. So if something in life that you're supposed to be enjoying is starting to weigh on you, if it's something that you can control, you want to go ahead and control that. And if that means you play less Marvel Strike Force, that's okay, right? That's okay. That's all right. So just curious again to hear some of your thoughts on that or any other topic. Let's see what people have got to say so far. So we got Big Positive Geek. Yes, he says Gangster is a massive loss to MSF. Really sad. I appreciate you, brother. I feel that. I feel that as well. It is a loss. His way, his perspective of how he viewed the game is good. It's refreshing. It's different than some. So you always having those different approaches is always good. But again, our guy had to go do something else. So he's going to go make that happen. And he's always welcome on the show, right? KT, if you're watching, you're always welcome. Just to pop in, whatever. You're always welcome on the show. So we had some other arrangements that we were looking at. So if we fulfill some of those and you still want to pop in, it's fine, 100%. No problem. I'm just not going to actively encourage it because I don't want you to jump in and want to get back to the game when you could be hanging out doing your other stuff. We want you to be able to do that and enjoy. Another comment here by the Big Positive Geek. 10 days left to complete his Dark Dimension 6 run. Year and a half of playing free to play. Interesting. Interesting. I'd like to hear more about that. 10 days left. You're going to get to Super Scroll. Been playing for a year and a half and about to punch through Dark Dimension 6. I wonder if that's typical or not typical. I wonder if those are results that are typical or results not typical. Either way, man, great accomplishment. Keep doing that. Keep doing that. Curious to hear how it goes. Azrael also chiming in on the same topic. He said it to Big Positive Geek. It's awesome. 260 days. Interesting. Azrael, we should talk more. 260 days in, working on Dark Dimension 5, about to hit level 90. We should talk more about that a little bit later on in the discussion for sure. But hey, just want to say once again, appreciate Gangster KT. Brother, you're amazing. You're inspiring. Really, you helped convince me to do some of this stuff, to try new things. I appreciate you, man. And again, if you're watching, you're always welcome. And hopefully, man, you're enjoying yourself and your family, brother. Keep it up. Keep it up. Keep it up. So let's see what other topics that we have to discuss today. Probably something that's really on people's mind. That's kind of a contested topic are the boosted accounts. This is something that can be a little controversial for sure. Um, I do have some thoughts, right? I definitely have some thoughts on that topic. I definitely have some thoughts on that situation. We did have a video that we put out. Right, if you haven't seen it yet, there's a thumbnail. It's on YouTube. That's the thumbnail for the video. And we know there's a lot of creators that are talking about things like this, right? It's not right. I'm not the first by any stretch of the imagination. There's a lot of creators that are talking about this right now. It's interesting. It's one of those things that, right? It feels, this is one of those feels bad kind of things. When it comes to light, that there's different ways the game is being played for different people. I know that the individuals don't like that, right? That doesn't feel good if you have been pushing a certain amount of, you've been putting forth a certain amount of effort in the game, and you find that other people are kind of just being gifted that effort. That in itself is not pleasing for most people. Most people don't enjoy finding that out. But when it comes to the new player experience, I think that Scopely is trying really hard to figure out the pacing of the game, right? The game has changed a lot since it was released. And I think what they're trying to do is figure out, if a person starts here at the beginning, how far can we accelerate their account? And how far can we do that before it becomes a problem, right? I think the resource management is where the issue comes in. And I think they're trying to figure out, hey, if we start a person at level 1, how fast can they progress till the resources become an issue? There's probably other things that they're working on as well. There's probably other thoughts that they have. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the matter, but I think that's what's going on. I know sometimes when stuff like this comes out, right, it's controversial, right? It breaks the news and it's controversial. In the past, Scopely's kind of been, right? They've had some questionable practices. We know that, right? They've had some questionable practices, but without some type of testing procedure, I don't know how you find what you're looking for. They have to do something to try to fine tune the way it goes. So how do you do that unless you have something to compare it to? Unless you can compare person A with person B, how do you know whether something is working or not? Right? Let's see. Once again, we got Azrael. Interesting point. It's easy to feel like you're missing out if you're not boosted. But in retrospect, I'm glad that I wasn't boosted. I've been focused on Apocalypse since day one and wouldn't have the materials to reach that goal. I think that's an excellent take. I think that's an excellent take because give me a moment to contemplate my thoughts here, to pull them together. Because I think that's going to be one of the pieces of the puzzle that individuals don't see. Yes, individuals are getting fast tracked with their account level. Their account level is getting fast tracked, so they're getting into certain things faster. They're also chewing through their resources faster. And at some point, I know at some point, there's a break, right? There's a break between what you can increase on your account. I'm losing my words. There's a break point, and can I keep my characters topped up and powered up? Do I have the resources to do so? And I think somewhere there's a break point where that stops happening. And just because you're level, 80, if you can't push your characters past level 70, the characters you need, then that part doesn't matter. What does matter is if there's content that's gated by that level, at least you can participate in the content, but maybe your characters don't have the power that they need to get stuff done. That's my take on the matter. I'm wondering if that's something that they're testing as well. I am curious to know, individuals like Azrael, where are you at in the game? Like, how are your resources going? Do you have wherever you're at in the game right now, regardless, are you facing bottlenecks? On my young account, I haven't gotten to that point yet where the bottlenecks are a problem, but it's going to happen at some point for sure. Big Positive Geek says it's very unfair from a competitive standpoint. However, I understand A/B testing needs to be done, but there are ways that it could have been done better. Perhaps that's true. Perhaps that's true. I know obviously from a competitive standpoint, you're 100% on. You're 100% on. I agree with that. I agree with that from a competitive standpoint, right? Because with my young account right now, I'm right. So my guys are like gear tier 12, and I'm starting to go up against people that are gear tier like 14. Right. I can't climb over that. So I don't know. Is it just because if they don't play as actively as I do, and I was able to climb up now and I'm bumping into them? Or is this a boosted player who was able to leapfrog me from behind and now I can't pass him? Either way, I mean, it's a thing. What do you think they could have done better? Big Positive Geek. Very interested. How do you think they could have improved the process? The man himself, Gangster KT, is joining us on his lunch break. What is up, brother? How are you, man? How are things going? How's the family? What are you into, bro? What is the hobby that KT is wrapped up with right now? What's he having fun with? Man, brother, it is good to hear from you. It's good to hear from you. No, the boosted things it is really interesting, man. It is really interesting. Again, I'm sure it's happened in other ways, shape, and form throughout the game. It's just now we have a lot of people that are kind of trying out new accounts. They're comparing things, and now they're comparing notes. There's some stuff that's different, but it is really an interesting thing. I can agree with that. Tier 14, yeah. I'm wondering. See, that's one of those things. I'm wondering, is that going to be one of the break points that you get when you hit 14, 15, or the unique, right? When you start needing to have uniques, that's probably going to slow your progress. I mean, I'm already, right? I get slowed just trying to get the blue gear. So I can't imagine. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens when we get back up to that level. I'm definitely moving a lot faster than I did last year. It's ridiculous. And my account isn't boosted. You can definitely tell that the cadence of the game, regardless, has been increased on the new player side. Like I can probably, yeah, it's going a lot faster. It's going a lot faster. We got Buzz High Five. Buzz, we saw you, brother. Buzz, thanks for the comment. Boosted XP doesn't equate to boosted resources. And yes, that is true. That's a true statement. And again, I wonder where the break point is. I wonder, as you're moving forward, if you move forward at hyper speed, when do you run out of the fuel to be able to keep things going? So Azrael comments right back at Buzz. He agrees with Buzz. That's why not being boosted can offer a smoother ride. If you level too fast, you're going to feel further behind with your roster. That's a true thing. That's a true statement. Right. I try to work my way around a little bit. I got a couple new player mid-game groups that I have been a part of, and I try to ask around. And like, I don't know if it's related or not, but I just talked to a guy the other day who his account, I can't remember exactly. His account level was 90, but he said his strongest characters were in the 70s. So I'm not sure. Again, this is just, I didn't know about the boosted stuff at that time. So I didn't think to ask, but I don't know if it's related or if it's more just as a newer player, he doesn't understand how to play the game yet. We had an individual in an alliance I was a part of last year who was leveling up every character. So if he went up to level 51, every character in his roster, he brought him to 51. And obviously that's not the right way to play the game. Well, you can play the game however you want, but that's not the best use of your resources. And he wasn't aware of that. So one of our captains at the time caught it and was able to give him some good advice on how to get his roster done. Still watching the vids? Awesome, brother. Don't get sucked in. Don't get sucked in. Make sure you get outside and touch some grass. I want to hear, man. I want to hear about the hobbies, the outdoor hobbies that you're into. For sure. So Azrael's answering our question from earlier. He says, I'm technically bottlenecked on tier 17. But since the last piece needed, he's on level 89 right now, he doesn't feel the pinch. 24 pieces of gear left. 15 of those are on Death Siege. This is on the path to Apocalypse. Interesting. Very interesting. So on my new account, for example, I have all the pieces in place where I think I can start pushing into the Scourges to unlock the characters. Those characters are at level 66. So you're almost at level 90. So that's the gap between right now from starting to finishing to unlocking Apocalypse. So if I'm at 66 and we'll round you up to 90. Is that the gap, we would say? So I wonder how long it'll take for my young account to get in position. Is that something that could be done in the course of a year? Or do you think it'll take longer than that? Right. That's one of those things. That's one of those things with the boost. Just because you have the level doesn't mean you have the gear. Teal is currently the highest gear, so it's going to be the most restrictive. It's going to get loosened up at some point, but still, they take what they take, right? The characters take what they take. You got to power them up. You need all the pieces. I wonder how long it takes to do that, to get that done. So that's real. Shouting out KT. He says, I appreciate your contribution to the community while you play Gangster KT. I appreciate him too, man. I appreciate that dude too. He's legit. He's a good cat. And there's KT giving the thanks back to Azrael. Man. So this boosted thing, I mean, it's a thing. It's a thing. Buzz has an interesting comment. With boosted XP, I think there is an opportunity to unlock characters faster. I agree with that. I have to test. Characters are coming out. You're getting them pretty fast as it is, but definitely once there's those break points like level 70, right? There's a lot of content that's gated behind level 70. So the sooner you can get to that, like there's whole right campaigns, the incursion, stuff like that. Like you can't even get into those. Like I don't know what incursion is, but I know you can't get into the hard campaigns until you hit level 70. I don't have the blue ISO open yet. So all that stuff is off limits at the moment. So if I had those nodes that I could farm that had the newer characters on them, that would be helpful. That would be helpful. I will agree with that. If we want any more talk, we'll roll it in. We'll roll it into the discussion if we have more talk about our boosted accounts. Let's talk a little bit. We can roll all this stuff together, but I wanted to talk a little bit about the Black Knight. So whether it's the Black Knight himself or Sword Satellite, wanted to talk about that for a little bit, if that's okay. How's the character working out for you? I did not have him unlocked, right? I don't have him unlocked, so I can't really speak to his effectiveness on the offensive side of things. All I can say is on the defensive side of things, he's an issue, right? He's an issue. He's something to work around, right? A little difficult. But I think he's interesting. His what he represents and what his team represents, I think is very, very interesting. It's definitely going to change the game. It's definitely a different way of doing things. A team that encourages you to attack them, and that's how they do their damage. That's really interesting in my opinion. Very different. And it draws a line in the sand, right? Because of that mechanic, it draws a line in the sand between the haves and the have-nots, for sure. But in good strategic fashion, a lot of the community has already found uh, workarounds, right? Maybe not true counters, workarounds, which I think is one of the better things about this game, about Marvel Strike Force, that even though, right, some characters that have that line in the sand concept, something will happen. There's enough characters in the game. Somebody will try to figure something out, a way to get around, over, under, through, right? I think that's good. I think that's good. Um, I think his unlock method is interesting, going through the sword satellite. And with that, newer players for sure are going to struggle with unlocking the character. Newer players for sure are going to struggle with unlocking a character. And once again, I wonder, we're talking about breakpoints. I wonder where the breakpoint with that is. Like, where do you need to be in the mid game? What characters do you have to have? What power level do you have to have that the unlock can take place in the mid game? Where's the have and the have not line for that? Especially since the character is going to be needed for legendary, right? His team, you need it for legendary. So it can put you in not a pickle, a little bit of a pickle, right? You might not have what you need for that next step, which again, it's not game breaking, right? We all want the newest toys. I want the newest toys. But there's enough good characters in here that it's not game breaking. It will push people's progress. Curious to see what happens, because everybody's not going to be able to get him, right? My young account can't get him. And I'm assuming, again, if you can't reach floor 10, for example, if you can't push through floor 10, you don't make the leaderboard. If you don't make the leaderboard, you don't get those orbs. And that'd be what, 4, 5 orbs, 5 orbs. That's not enough to open the character, right? If you get a minimum drop of 4 times 5 is 20. That's not nearly enough. So you have to chew through milestones and do some of the other things. 100 shards is a good clip. But this isn't unusual, right? When Quicksilver came out, you had to score high enough in Crucible to get the shards. If you couldn't push that far up, right? If your roster wasn't that strong, if you weren't an end game player, it took a lot longer for people to get him, a lot longer to power him up until they put him in the store like he is now. He was the reward, right? So for those of you who don't know, he was the reward of the Crucible a while back. So if you didn't score high enough, just like with the diamonds now, you didn't get any Quicksilver. It wasn't in the store. So maybe this is a different way that they're looking at it as far as the Black Knight. Maybe that's the new line in the sand, that his team and then the next legendary team will kind of determine where people place as far as what they can do. Very curious. Very curious. Let's see what we got. What are your comments? So we got Azriel. He says, so that's a downside for me farming hard for Apocalypse. I don't worry about characters like the Black Knight. He's great, but I'm not trying to unlock him. And I think that's reasonable. I think that's very reasonable. That's one of the hard things, right? So I just not recently, but I've had the Super Scroll on my main account for maybe 2-ish months, 3-ish months. So I feel you. All my resources were dedicated to getting the Super Scroll. So I didn't deviate and put power into other characters that weren't going to help me to do that. So I feel what you're saying. I think anybody that's in a similar situation is gonna have that happen. But the good news is I think Apocalypse is the counter for Black Knight, right? Like if you can get that Falcon Punch on him, the Mega Man Punch, then goodbye Black Knight. There's not a lot of other characters that can help you do that. So Apocalypse is going to be needed, and he's going to be good for a long time. Like Apocalypse Kit is legit. I think he's going to be good for a long time. So Buzz is saying, back to Azriel, I'm in a similar situation, level 79. Just unlocked all 4 horsemen at 3 stars. All right, man. So you're doing it. You're doing it. Level 79. Just unlocked all 4 horsemen at 3 stars. What Buzz, if you're still around, what level did you play for the scourges? What difficulty and what scourges? If you I know you probably can't remember off the top. Did you use a lot? How about that? We'll make the question easy. Do you remember about what difficulty that you did? And did you have to use a lot of scourges or not? So I'm curious as to where on my young account what it's going to take to kind of mimic what you're doing. Kind of mimic what you're doing. Well, it says my teams are only at about 500K, making Sword, Satellite, and Black Knight beyond my grasp. I hear you, bro. I hear you. I have the Extreme X-Men at about, we'll say 350. Hive Mind, same deal, about 350. And then there's some other random characters. Sinister Six. But yeah, that's the gap. They're still all up. They're in purple gear tier 12, level 60. I hit 67 this morning, so I got to power them all up. But yeah, man. Wow. Okay. So you said you're level 79. I'm just putting that together. You're level 79 with 500K teams, and you don't think you're going to be able to you can't get to floor 10? It's not going to happen? I know you have to go farther than that, but wow, interesting. Like, that's the stuff we need to talk about. So, like, if you guys aren't involved in the player voice, like anybody here, seriously, if you're not involved in the player voice, the link is in the description. The link's always in the description. It's always in the description on my videos. If you're not involved with the player voice, come and talk about that stuff. It's not that we have to argue about it, not that somebody's right and somebody's wrong, but it's just the more information that they can get a hold of, right? They're trying to get as much information as possible to understand how the game is flowing. Does that make sense? And then they can make adjustments or recommend, excuse me, they can recommend, they can't make the adjustment, but they can recommend the scopely adjustments to make the overall game easier. So I definitely want to come back and talk about player voice today, but this was a good segue into doing that. I wanted to do that. Wanted to bring that up. Wanted to bring that up. Go back to Black Knight. So Azrael saying, grats to Buzz. Feels good to get those horsemen. Whenever we meet goals, man, whenever we reach goals, it feels good. Whenever we reach goals, it definitely feels good, man. So yes, congratulations to Buzz. We can all give him that. Keep going, brother. Keep going. So Buzz has given us the answer earlier. Difficulty 4 and difficulty 5. All scourges on 4, none on 5. Okay. All right. I'm starting, I think it's the Morgan Le Fay one because it's the first. I'm starting that one at difficulty 5. Hoping I'll get enough points. My teams are they're good enough to do it, I think. So far, so good. We haven't done the whole thing. But if I can unlock her on that one, then I'll move to the next. I don't have my phone out, but I think it's like 3 or 4 days left. And obviously I'm focusing on Satellite with the main account, but on a young account, if I can get some time, should have some time after today, right? Because Crucible's done. War starts today for us on both accounts, so that'll take some time, but I got all day to do that. But maybe if I get some opportunities, I can shift into the Horseman. I could see if we can get that done. That would be huge. That would change the trajectory, not the trajectory. Well, maybe that's a good word. That would change how I'm prioritizing things on the account. That's for sure. That's for sure. All right. The next topic that I kind of wanted to get into is new players versus veterans. And so what we mean by that, it's kind of a, what's the word? Amalgamation of let's take Rick real quick before we get into that. Let's take Rick's question. It's a really good one. This has probably been asked already. What 3 teams should you be building from beginning to end? So community really here is curious what you have to say on that. Rick, I will say in a vacuum with no other information, right now, the Sinister Six is the strongest team you can get from the beginning to pretty much the end game. Right? They're not the strongest team overall, but they right now they can do a lot and they're good everywhere. So if you're just starting the game, get your Sinister Six characters. And then after that, the reality is it's going to change. The reality is it's going to change, right? It's going to depend on where you are in the game. I would always recommend that you build whatever the newest team is, whatever team just came out, you build that. And then your third team is going to be, what do you need? What are you working on? So I know that's not necessarily a solid, definite answer, but again, the game, changes. Where are you at in the game, right? Are you in, if you're just doing Ultimate 7, you need a raid team, so you need to build something for that. After you finish that, at some point, you're going to go up to Doom. Now you're going to need 5 teams. So that means, right, they have 5 different categories. So I wouldn't say one's more important than the other. You need all 5 categories. So I would just try for the newest characters in those teams. After that, Cosmic Crucible will unlock at some point there. You need 6 teams for that. So again, who's the next strongest team you can build, where you are in the game? We need to look at your account, look at what's happening, look at what's relevant. Alliance War, 10 teams. Then you can start putting people on defense. For Crucible, that's 12. Defense and War is 20 teams, right? That's just the way I see it. And as soon as you get the opportunity, like Azrael and Buzz are talking about, once you get the opportunity to go after Apocalypse, you start doing that. And the way they have the rules for that set up now, if you're going after the new raid teams, 3 of the 4 new raid teams put you on the path to Apocalypse. And then you just have to come up with that 4th team, which I think is like New Warriors and Secret Defenders. So I'm experimenting with it now. I'm going to see, hopefully in the next couple of days, if there's some type of like just hodgepodge mix of those 2 groups that you can put together to get it through, to get it done. So I know that was a lot and I didn't necessarily answer your question, but hey, man, anytime, comment on my video, hit me on Discord. I'm in a no cap server. We have a recruitment server there. That's in the description. And there's a question, right? There's an advice for new players section there where they have people that will help you out. You can throw pictures of your roster in there. Plenty of other creators that have stuff to say. But yeah, man, listen to the cats that are doing it. That'd be my first piece of advice. There's a lot of advice out there. Make sure you listen to the cats that are doing it, because there's some people that they mean well. They're trying to give good advice, but it's not applicable. So Buzz has a good comment. Sinister Six, Eternals, newest team. That's a good route too. I like that. That ain't bad. That's not bad advice. That's not bad advice at all. Not bad advice at all. All right. We want to talk about, keep your comments coming too. This is good. This is great. We're having a lot of fun today. A lot of fun. So we got new players versus veterans. And what I mean by this is there's a lot of attention being paid to the new player experience. And I think that's awesome. I really do, because you need new people to come into the game. They need to be able to play. They need to be able to have fun. They need to be able to understand what's going on. And so that's positive. That's positive. That's good. Oh, they had a blog post. Find the blog post real quick. Yeah, so they recently talked about this in the blog, Commander's Journey. some of the upcoming changes to the new player experience. I'm curious to see what's going to happen there. I'm very interested to see what they're going to adjust. If they're going to, it looks like they're going to put some of the new people earlier so that people can get a hold of them earlier and get things done earlier. They're changing the way the legendaries, the old school legendaries come into the game. That's fantastic. That's really going to help a lot. And again, you want that to happen because you want when people start playing the game to have fun. Here's something to take to look at that'll blow your mind. So go look at like Valley Flying or go look at Mobile Gamer, right? Go look at go to their channel and then just click on like videos and then just click by most popular and look at the views that people used to have for Marvel Strike Force. Like it is right. So right now we got people doing like 5,000 views. There's some people like some mobile gamers. I've seen him do like 16,000, 18 recently. But there was a time, man, when it was like 600,000, where you're getting close to 800,000. You're getting close to 1 million because people like the game. It was a lot more popular. And then the weirdness started. People started quitting the game. So I think they know that they can get back to that. They know they can get back to that because those weren't COVID numbers. Those weren't COVID numbers. Maybe they were. I got to think about the dates on that because it was like 4-ish years ago. Maybe it was. But they know that it can be better. But people need to be able to play the game, that they have to be able to come in. They have to be able to enjoy the game for that to happen. But I am not concerned. Concerned isn't the right word. And I'm curious to hear your thoughts about this as well. At some point, the energy has to shift, right? Once the new player thing is kind of locked in, and the energy has to shift, I think, towards the end game. You want more stuff for people to do, right? I think so. You want the end game players to have challenges. You want the end game accounts to have things to do. Or maybe this new game mode. What's it called? I want to say Battlegrounds, but that's not right. That's probably the Star Wars. Can't remember what the new game mode is. But maybe that'll bring some relief to that. I like what Pathfinder Gaming, right? I don't know if you guys are familiar with Path, probably so. If you're watching me, you know who Pathfinder is, right? So Pathfinder Gaming and Reaper, they have that war rankings video, that war power rankings that they do and talk about who the strongest war alliances are and who beat who each week. I think that's kind of cool. I think that like Scopely can do something with that, right? Competition, you want people to spend money, competition will get you to spend money without, right? You don't have to make people spend. Just trying to let somebody know that they're the best, right? If you can indicate somehow that this dude is the best or this alliance is the best war alliance in the game, I think people will spend to make their account stronger to get that, right? If they got some type of like nameplate on their guy, right? They get some kind of Alliance War Champion 2024. See, I was thinking maybe this is just me. There's all kind of different ways. Maybe you got some game modes or some thoughts that could make the game better. Always go to the voice. They have a suggestion box for just such a thing. But like with the war, for example, what if you so at the whatever the current war rules are, I can't remember what they call these, right? So I know there's like the rules right now that favor the cosmic heroes and favor the new warriors. I can't remember. I don't have the game open. I can't remember what it's called. So maybe how about when that goes and then we get to the point where the next one's getting ready to start. We get to the point where the next one's getting ready to start, have a break in the middle, and that'll be the Contest of Champions. Contest of Champions. The 100 ranked war alliances automatically get put into the contest. It's basically a tournament, right? It looks like a March Madness tournament, and you'll get seeded, right? The number one is going to be going up against, so the number one gets seeded against number 100. It's not going to be good for these guys down here, but hey, that's how it goes. That's how it goes. And you kind of make the rules a little not different. You keep the same rules because everybody knows what the rules are. But to help with the time zone differences, right? You have like a slider. You have a slider, and so then your alliance says, "Well, we want to start about this time," and the other alliance says, "We want to start about this time," and whatever the difference in between the two is, the computer kind of picks something sort of in the middle, right? But to stop the shenanigans, see, I've been thinking about this. To stop the shenanigans, so people can't just say, "Well, we're going to have it here to jam up the other team." Whatever you pick, the opposing alliance can just pick and say, "Yep, that's the time," and that's when it is. And so maybe over the course of like 2 weeks, because I think you would have to have about 6 wars, right? So just help me with the math here. You got 100 that'll get cut down. So that's 100, 50, 25. Maybe somehow somebody gets to come back. I don't know. 25. So I don't know if somebody gets a bye week. I got to think about this. So if we go up to 26, and that's 13. From 14 is 7. I guess you need more than that. Because if we're at 8, then we're at final 4, because that's what you want. Then you need 2 more in your final 4 to get the number 1 and number 2 spot, and then somebody's a champion, right? Like I think that would be super dope. And then they could have like whatever the name of it was, War Season number 4 champion. And maybe they could have 2 nameplates. There was the champion one, and then there's just the overall champion, right? Like WWE. It's just like you got the belt. There's the overall war champion, and you could lose that. So if you don't make it, if the best alliance doesn't get it, next time you could lose that one. But you'll always have the one that's dated as part of your account. So the 2024, or however they want to name it. I think we got to think about cool stuff like that. I think there's some great opportunities, some great game modes that could be right. People are talking about like a world boss, alliance boss, like something to test your end game progress that doesn't necessarily that doesn't necessarily need the new player to be able to do it. Does that make sense? And it doesn't necessarily take away from their experience. Right? You just know that we're all in alliance war. In between seasons, there's going to be the contest of champions. Doesn't bother me none. Our regular wars continue, and maybe they have wars in addition, which would be hard, right? There's more screen time. It's more screen time, but that's part of it. If you want to do more, again, curious to hear your thoughts on that and any other matters having to do with Marvel Strike Force. That might. I gotta look at my tabs. That might be all we got for today. So, hey, we appreciate everybody for coming through. I shouldn't say that just yet. I should make sure that I don't have any more stuff. Let me check my tabs. I think we got them all. Just props to KT once again. Thanks for coming through, buddy. If you guys haven't watched the video, please do. Go check him out. He's a good cat. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy the rest of the day. I don't know what the weather's like where you are. I'm going to get outside, going to try to get a run in. Got to keep the cardio up, right? Got to stay healthy. Got to keep the cardio up. So what are you guys into today? I want to know. Leave them in the comments. And thank you for coming through on this episode of Forced Conversation. Let's do it again sometime. We'll see what we can do about that. You guys take it easy. Make sure you take care of yourself and your family. Peace.